I know. You expect me to come in dancing. You expect me to come in boogieing. I don't have my boogie shoes today. I'm using StreamYard to go live. I didn't have the 10-minute dancer see-through countdown thingy that you guys were expecting. So I regret to inform you that we will not be boogieing on this show today. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Live Streaming Pros Nimmin Takeover. Today is a Q&A live stream. That means I'm going to be answering your questions about live streaming, about gear, about YouTube growth. So if you do have questions, go ahead and start asking those in the chat right now. The moderators are going to take those questions and they're going to pass them along to me, and I'm going to answer those questions in the order that they do come in. And we have a special guest today because it would not be a complete Nimmin takeover unless we had the other half of the Nimminati, my brother from the same mother, Nick Nimmin. So you got two Nimmins for the price of one today. Two Nimmins for the price of one, everybody. How you doing, Nick?
What is going on, Dee? What is going on, everybody? Hope that you are having a fantastic, what is today, Dee? Is it like Tuesday, I think? Thursday? What is today? Tuesday, I think? If it's Tuesday, I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. If it's Wednesday, I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. And if it's Monday night or whatever, I'm hoping that you're having a fantastic one of those as well. Excited for the takeover today. This is going to be all kinds of fun.
And here's a fun fact. This is the first time Nick and I have streamed together with only the two of us in over 1 year.
Wow.
And over a year.
Is it really?
Yeah, because usually we're streaming and there's lots of other people coming on. So this is the only, this is like an official Nimmin Live on Live Streaming Pros. And I couldn't think of a better place to do it. So nice. Welcome, man. Welcome. So before we get into the questions here, I want to ask everyone in the chat right now, smash the thumbs up. Smash the thumbs up. Let us know that you're here and ready to have a good time, and share this link out on Facebook, share it out on Twitter, wherever it is that you're posting links. Go ahead and share this out. Let's get a lot of people in here and have a good time. And okay, now here's the cool thing. Nick, and I'm going to put him full screen for a second because Nick has a new live streaming studio. And before we dig into the questions, I want Nick to explain a little bit about what he's done in his studio. I'm going to put him full screen here for just a second, because he's done some really cool stuff.
Yeah, so what's going on here, and this is the thing that you see going on in the background. This is actually Dee's idea, so I got to give credit where it's due. But basically, the thing that I've introduced now is this thing here in the background. So you can't really see that side of the room. My cam that I have for that is actually down right now because I have a camera sitting back here, but I can't get it to come on. I couldn't get it to come on fast enough for the stream. But basically, the idea is about 10 feet in front of me. That way, I have a projector. It's a BenQ projector, and I have these looping backgrounds that I've put into it. And with those looping backgrounds, it's basically shooting it over my head, and then it's hitting the wall. And I'll switch to this camera so you can see. And then it's hitting the wall back here behind me. Now, I have a little tube light back here as well, and it might seem like that whole thing is happening from that little tube light, but it's not. That's just a little bit of light to separate me a little bit more from the background there. But the actual pattern that's happening on the wall is coming from the projector overhead. So you can see, back here when I switch to this particular shot, how it looks, looks pretty cool. You see the logo back there, things like that. And I'm in the process of getting it set up to where I can change what's happening back there for like super chat triggers and things like that to make it a little bit more interactive when, people are hanging out in the chat, and make it a little bit more fun. Because, for me and for the people that are watching the streams, adding a little bit of finesse and fine tuning to the actual setup just makes the whole thing a little bit more of a exciting and fun experience for everybody that's hanging out. So because of that, like I've went through the process of getting the projector and setting up the multi cameras and that kind of thing. Like I've got this one here as well for just like a quick little side cam. So in the event that somebody asks about the gear that I'm using or how I'm switching cameras and things like that, so that I can give a little bit of a preview here as well and just kind of show people what's going on in this particular situation right here from this particular view also. So that's pretty much the setup as in terms of how it's all looking right now, but still working on it. Like it's gonna be slowly little cool thing added here, little cool thing added there as well. But we're even going as far is adding sound effects and intros
Oh.
and stuff like that. So, you know, on the show that happens on Saturday on my channel on Nimmin Live, on that one, when a guest comes on, if there's somebody that's a regular guest on the show, then we even have sound effects that will trigger. So for example, you know what, I can't play them here because I'm not 100% sure. Hey, what's up, Phil? I'm not 100% sure if they are using Epidemic sound or not. So I don't want to end them with a copyright strike or anything like that, but you'll have to check out Nimmin Live to hear the sound effects. I'd love to play them for you here, you know, some of the intros, because they're really fun. But unfortunately, just to be on the safe side, I'm not 100% sure if they have a Epidemic sound subscription or not. So I'm not going to do that at this point in time.
That's the second reason I didn't come in dancing today. Right? Because
nice.
I thought about, you know what, I don't have the 10-minute overlay where you can see through it, but I could probably come up with like because usually when I come in with my live streams, I'll have a setup like this where I'm shooting through my phone and I'll have music playing and I kind of, you know, I get my head bob on going through something.
I love that
like
shot,
this.
by the way. Love that shot. That's such a creative shot. Like it's simple, but like over the top creative in terms of, you know, you get to see like some of the gear background kind of blurred out and all that stuff, but you still get to see you nice and crispy there and focus on the camera. Absolutely love that shot.
So I was thinking about coming in with that shot and dancing, and then I was like, man, but if she doesn't have an Epidemic sound, I'm pretty sure she does, but in case she doesn't, I don't want to be the reason her channel crumbles.
Right. We don't want to be responsible for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, man, I just want to say your studio looks amazing. It looks amazing.
I'm excited for you to see it. Dee hasn't even been here yet. Yeah, I'm excited for you to see it. Like, here's what's going to happen. I already know what's going to happen. Dee's going to come back over, and he's going to come over, and he's going to like hang out, and he's going to be like, dude, you know what you should do? And then it's all over. And then you know, it's going to be like a whole other batch of like adding stuff. Next thing you know, we'll have like video walls in here and like all kinds of craziness going on, but we'll see how it ends up.
All right. So we've got the first question that came in, and I'm going to go ahead and let's get that. So the first question comes from All Things YouTube, and I'm going to let you tackle this one because this is right up your alley here. It says, how useless are YouTube keywords? It seems like they may have a 1% to 2% usefulness. Relevance, CTR, and AVD seem to rule the algorithm. Thoughts? Great question.
So on the like 1%, 2% thing, that's completely like made up in terms of, I'm sure you're just pulling that number out randomly. But in terms of keywords, I'm going to assume that you mean tags and not keywords. Keywords are still extremely important, but your keywords will impact what your videos show up for when people, it'll impact what your videos show up for. It'll show up who your videos show up for as well. Your keywords will, but that's the actual keyword or the keyword phrase that you're targeting with that video, essentially letting people know what that video is about. So for example, if this particular live stream was about coffee cups, then we would want to make sure that we had coffee cup as one of the things as our keyword. If this entire stream was about, you know, us talking about coffee cups, then our keyword would be, you know, coffee cups in that situation, so that we could make sure that YouTube was showing our content to people that were interested in some way in coffee cups. But in terms of tags, one of the things that YouTube says is that they are not as important as they used to be. But one of the things that we don't know is what percentage that they still are important, because not as important as they used to be doesn't mean completely 100% irrelevant. Now, they have also said that, you know, you can use them for things like misspellings and, that sort of use case. So let's say, for example, if somebody typically spells, a D and I's last name with an O instead of an I, then in that case, we could, add that to our tag. Or if, we did coffee cup, and a common typo is coffee with one E instead of two, then in that situation, or one F instead of two, then in that situation, we would be covering, that misspelling. So it's still there, use it, but don't spend tons of time on it. This is where something like TubeBuddy comes in really handy, because with TubeBuddy, all you have to do is you can, they give you the suggestions based on how you've written your title, what you have in your description, and they give you suggestions. Just go down there, look for the ones that apply to your video, and then just add those. So it shouldn't take you more than, than a few seconds or maybe a minute max to actually think through, does this give context to my video? And then just go through and make sure that you're adding those. And then as soon as that feature is 100% irrelevant, YouTube's going to remove it, because that's what YouTube does. When features are no longer of use or they're no longer being used, then in both of those situations, they remove those features from the platform. So as soon as it's 100% irrelevant, it won't be there anymore. So continue to use them, but just don't spend tons of time on them like you probably used to.
Man, that was a huge answer for that. And I'm always going to lean on this. For every feature YouTube allows us to use, as long as they still allow us to use it, I'm going to use it. Because we know that they don't put a lot of weight on tags. We know that. YouTube engineers have said that. When you go to upload your video and you're adding your tags, it even says that they're not that important, but it's still there, right?
Yeah.
They still let us use that. And I think this is a mistake that a lot of people get into. And you see this a lot, like in Facebook groups, and they're making tweets, and they're in Discord and on Reddit. They say, I'm using all the right tags, but my video isn't gaining traction.
Yeah.
It's because the tags aren't going to move the needle. The tags aren't going to be the defining factor of what's going to make your video succeed. You are correct about asking about your click-through rate and your average view duration. Those are the two metrics to focus on. Those move the needle.
If people are clicking at a high rate and they're watching your video for a longer period of time, then in that situation, the idea is your click-through rate demonstrates your ability to convert somebody in terms of, hey, I'm just browsing around YouTube, now I'm engaged, right? Your ability to convert somebody from passive to active in terms of, we're just looking around the platform to now I'm sitting back and I'm actually watching what it is that you're doing. And then the actual watch time that you're generating is an indicator of how quality, not in terms of the camera that you're using, not in terms of what your sound looks like or what your editing is, but in terms of quality experience for the people that are using YouTube. So if people are watching the videos for a long period of time, then that shows YouTube, hey, people dig this. If people hit your video and then they leave, then in that situation, that shows YouTube people aren't as into this as maybe they should be, or at least they're not as into this as much as they are the other options that we have to show people. So because of that, we're going to devalue this video and we're going to put other videos in its place that are proven to keep people watching for a longer period of time.
Yep. And the more you get them to click, the longer you get them to watch. Think about like putting your foot on the pedal, on the gas pedal, right? The more they click, the longer they watch, you're just putting your foot down on the gas, speeding the whole process up. Great answer, man. Next question comes from Carlos. Carlos says, hey, Nick, what are the lights in the background? I guess he's talking about those vertical lights you have in the background.
Yeah, so this is all, and I show a little bit more detail on this when the stream first started, but I guess you can see it here. So basically all the stuff that's happening on the wall back here, I can trigger, like little changes and stuff like that as well. But this is just a projector. So there's a projector directly overhead, about 10 feet in that direction in front of me. It's shooting over my head. If I actually come back here, you can see I kind of get in it. There we go. But there you go. It's shooting over my head, and then it's hitting the background from there.
The vertical lights, what are those?
Oh, these are just Philips Hue lights. Both of these are Philips Hue lights. And I went to the hardware store and I got light casings. These are supposed to be on a ceiling and they have mounts and everything, so I can mount them on the wall. Right now, they're just sitting on the floor. But I put the Philips Hue, the strip lights, I'm sorry, not just Hue lights, but the Philips Hue strip lights. And I put those inside of that casing so that you wouldn't see the actual bulbs themselves. You would just see the actual glow coming from them instead, because I don't like the look of having all those little dots, so to speak. I like the glow, but I don't like seeing the actual dots of the LEDs. So this was my way of covering that up.
Yeah, clever, very clever. We have a super chat. Thank you for the super chat trekking tips. The question is, why is there not a chat like some others? Nailed it, love it. So we can have a one-on-one with our viewers. Didn't YouTube have that once before, especially useful for gamers? Do you understand that? I
don't. Let's see here, because there is a chat. In terms of like a one-on-one, in that situation, like you can, like technically you can answer questions. They can't reply back after you answer it unless they do it in text. But in terms of like a video chat, there was like the replies that they used to do back in the day to where, for example, if I was on your video, and instead of writing a text reply, I could just make a quick video and upload that as the reply. But people ended up using that inappropriately. If you just look for reply girls, then you'll have a bunch of information come up about that. But basically, a lot of people would use those as just a way to get followings themselves instead of actually contributing to the conversation. And because of that, YouTube ended up taking those away.
So Stanley Orchard, hey Stanley, how's it going, man? He says on screen chat. So he might be talking about, and Trucker Tips, you can clarify that, and we'll keep an eye out for your reply on that one. If he's talking about the on-screen chat
on a mobile device. Yeah, you should
see it on a mobile device. But if you're talking about how to actually get your chat to show up on the screen, that's completely dependent on the platform that you're using and how you're actually setting
the streaming
stuff
software.
That's what I mean
Yeah,
in the
like
streaming software.
if you want like if you wanted to have your chat show up on the screen, then you can use like Streamlabs or something like that for it. Or if you wanted individual comments like Dee's putting up right now, like this one from Doc Rock, then in that situation you can use StreamYard for something like that.
Yeah, I think StreamYard does this. I believe vMix can do this. Does Restream can do this?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, Restream, vMix, and of course StreamYard. And today we're doing this with StreamYard. I know Luria usually streams with Restream. Recently, I believe. Today we're using StreamYard. Brendan Sparks coming in with another super chat. Thank you so much.
Super chat.
Just wanted to show some love. Thanks for years of advice and motivation, fellas. Thank you so much. Hey, Doc, how you doing, man? She's using Ecamm. I thought she was using, so she's using Ecamm with Restream. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate the clarification. Hope you're doing well, my friend. All right, next question. Moving right along here. This question is there any impact on live streaming on your YouTube channel when you also post your main videos? So you're asking if live streaming actually hurts your channel or not. And I'll give my take on that, and Nick can give his. I think it depends on the type of live streams that you're doing. For example, if you're doing live streams that are not in alignment with the rest of the content on your channel, I could see how that could hurt your channel. But if you're doing live streams where people can get value out of that live stream and it's in alignment with the rest of the content on your channel, I think you'll be okay. Just when people are subscribing to your channel and people are watching your videos, just remember why they are there. So if you're doing a live stream that's in alignment with that, they're probably going to be happy with that. Now, not everybody likes a live stream. Some people like live streams, some people don't like live streams. So I don't think it's going to hurt your channel as long as you have everything similar to your content. Nick?
Yeah, if it's in alignment with what it is that you already do, then you can use it as a community building tool. The really cool thing about live streaming is that there's going to be people that will watch your video content religiously, and then there's going to be people that will watch your videos and your live streams religiously, and then there's going to be people that'll watch your live streams religiously, but they won't watch your video content as much. So the really cool thing there with live streaming is it gives you the ability to create an additional audience from your content. And that particular audience, you get to really engage with those people because you get to actually interact with them in real time like we're doing right now. So live streaming just in general can be extremely advantageous for you. But if you are going to live stream on your channel, let's say that you're doing tech content as an example, then if you're doing tech content, you don't want to do a live stream about like, hey, here's an IRL stream of us just going and like hanging out at the park and not talking about anything related to tech. Now, if you have a personality channel to where people are coming to you and it doesn't matter what type of content that you upload and you've gained that that particular type of audience, or you've earned that type of audience, I should say, then in that case, some people might watch it and enjoy it. But ultimately what you want to do is you want to understand why people come to your YouTube channel, and you want to give that to them in the video content. You want to give that to them in your community posts. You want to give that to them in the live streaming content that you do. You want to give that to them in shorts. If you're using shorts, you want to give that to them in your stories, all the way around. But you can also use stories as a way to show a little bit of that behind the scenes stuff as well to, for that deeper engagement. But when it comes to live streams, just keep it, on point with what it is that you normally do, and offer, a similar value that you normally do, or something that adds additional value to those people that are normally interacting with your video content.
Love that. Doc Rock chimes in. He says the key to live streaming is definitely community building. Very important to build that community. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the cool things that happen during a live stream, right? Like, look what happened. And I was talking to Nick before we actually went live. How many of you expected this live stream to start with us dancing? Right? There were a good handful of you in the chat. Just say yes if you expected the stream to start with dancing, right? And people are asking, why are you not dancing? Where's the countdown? Where is this at? Like, Luria has created something during the stream that the community's into. They're into that sort of thing. One of the things that I like to do on my live stream that I didn't plan for it, but it just happened. So when I get a super chat, I start playing, like, because I love funk music. I'm a big fan of like old school funk. So I just play like funk tunes. So people will come in who don't even watch my videos, but they like to hang out in my live streams, and they drop super chats just so they can hear the kind of music that they like. So there's all kinds of things that you can do during a live stream to cultivate a community. And I just think that's one of the most powerful things about live streaming. I absolutely love it. It's addictive. I think live streaming is like super addictive.
It is. Yeah, like once you start doing it, and once you start, once you have like viewers start coming in on a regular basis and things like that, it can be really addictive, and it can just be fun. And I think that's part of the addictive nature of it, is just because it's fun. You get to have that, real life interaction with people. Plus, I don't know about you, Dee, but for me, like when I live stream, because of all of the different things that your brain is trying to keep track of while you're streaming, words coming out of your mouth,
right.
the text, chat, all these different things. Like, it's almost like you get kind of like a buzz from it. And then by the time it's done, you're just, you're fired up with a little bit of exhaustion built into that, into that energy. But, you're fired up afterwards just because your brain's just constantly going during the live stream.
Yeah. It's that, patting the head and rubbing your stomach thing. You've got all this stuff going on, and it really gets you amped up. Okay, so Sammy Superstar comes in with 2 questions in a row. The first question is really short. Is Nick using headphones?
No.
No headphones. Second question is it good for you to get 100% SEO score? And I'll give you my take on this, and then Nick can give you his. I have pulled away from the whole scoring thing with the various platforms, because I've found that, don't get me wrong, I think if you're getting started, I think it's fantastic. It gives you something to aim for, and it gives you a good understanding of what you're doing to let you know if you're doing it correctly in terms of your keywords. But now that I have a better understanding of what's happening on my channel, 100% score doesn't really mean a lot to me now, because I can still blow it with the thumbnail, right? Like, you can get 100% score, but your thumbnail could kill the entire experience, right? Nobody clicks on it. You don't get the view. It's done regardless of your 100% score. Or your thumbnail is fire, but they click and your hook is terrible, and you lose them right out of the gate. Or maybe your audio is bad. Or maybe you just take too long to get into it, and people just start to leave your video early. So even though 100% score, you can still blow it with that 100% score. So I would say I wouldn't, waste too much time trying to reach 100%, because you still have those other 2 more important factors of getting someone to click and getting someone to watch in the first place. Nick?
Yeah, my thoughts on that are, I look at more as an opportunity score. So it's not a guarantee of ranking or anything like that, because what it's doing is it's helping you find opportunities that you have a better chance for ranking for. But like Dee mentioned, in order for all of that to even matter, you have to be able to get people to respond to your content. So if you're a new content creator and you're not getting, a decent amount of views on your videos yet, and you're still going through that process of learning how to get people to click and how to get people to watch your videos for a longer period of time, then in that situation, you want to use that opportunity score so that you can make sure that you're targeting everything correctly, and that you're making topics around the right things, that you, can compete if you do get the click and if you do get people to watch for a longer period of time. But you have to make sure that you understand that just putting the right keywords in the right places in your title and in your description, that's not going to be the thing that's going to make you show up in search. It's going to help. It's going to be one of the elements, because YouTube tells us in the YouTube Creator Academy, they tell us that how well your title matches a particular search query is one of the things that helps their system determine what they're going to show to viewers that look for that particular query. But another thing they tell us is that they're also looking for how much watch time they can generate per impression for each query as well. So because of that, if you are doing all of the right things with your metadata and you're using the SEO, like for example, if you're using the SEO tool in TubeBuddy and you're also using the Keyword Explorer, start looking at that as this is the thing that's going to help me look for the right topics to make videos about. And then the SEO tool is going to be the thing that's going to help me optimize my videos in a way that's going to help me make sure that as long as I can get people to click and watch, that I'm increasing my chances of showing up for that particular term. But here's the thing. A lot of people are using the Keyword Explorer incorrectly. They'll see like 100% on the score, but that's because they put an entire long title in there. That's not how the Keyword Explorer works. How the Keyword Explorer works is you want to take the keyword or the keyword phrase that you're trying to show up for with your video, and you want to put that in there. So let's say, for example, if we use the coffee cup example like we did before, then in that situation, if Dee and I are making a video on, the top 3 coffee cups that every coffee lover should have, then in that particular situation, we're going to make sure that, coffee cups is going to be a part of that particular title. We're going to make sure that we're going to put that as close to the front as possible as we can in that particular title, so that it grabs the human's attention that is going to be looking for that keyword, but that's going to be looking for information around that. And if it shows up on their homepage, it's also going to grab their attention based on something that they would be interested in, which would be coffee cups. But we're also going to make sure that we have that in the description as well, and the tags, so that we can make sure that we're optimizing our video around that term, not the entire title of, 3 coffee mugs that every coffee lover should have, or, whatever that title that I said before. So when you put the entire title in there, it's easier to get those high scores. But when you are just focusing on the keyword or the keyword phrase itself, it becomes a little bit more difficult to hit those 100s, because then the information that you're looking at is a lot more accurate. But like Dee said, you want to use those tools to like get you started. But at the end of the day, the thing that really is going to make the biggest impact for you is going to be the ability to get, really, if we back it up even more, it's going to be under what it is that you're content for, so that you can get those people to click on what it is that you're doing, and you can deliver the content that they are most likely to enjoy.
Yeah, I've had 100% scores before, and I've completely blown it on the thumbnail. Like, even, I've got, I think, over 200 videos up or something like that. I have a lot of experience in making content and, TubeBuddy and understanding how this stuff works. And I still mess up from time to time. So, the main thing and I'll say this, TubeBuddy was a very important part of me growing my channel, because it did help me find those opportunities. And Nick said it best, like TubeBuddy, for example, is an opportunity finder. Yeah. 100% score is not 100% guaranteed you're going to rank for something, you're going to have a video succeed. It means that there might be an opportunity here for you to rank on if you still make a great thumbnail, if your video is still good and people want to watch that video. So yeah, there's
so one question really quick, since we're talking about it. Yard Sales and Dream says, I'm not using TubeBuddy. How detrimental is it to my channel growth? You can definitely grow your channel without any of the YouTube tools. The thing is with TubeBuddy and the other YouTube tools, it's just TubeBuddy is the best one. But the difference with all of the different tools is it's kind of like, yeah, you can build a house by hand, right? Like you can go out and you can
make it out of log. You can make it out of logs.
And, grab just a hunk of wood maybe and try to hammer some nails into something or whatever. But if you get the appropriate tools, it's going to accelerate the rate that you're building that house, and it's also going to help you just build a better, stronger house as well. And the thing with the tools is it's not just around like growth, right? Like with TubeBuddy, for example, like it has tons of things in there in terms of testing your thumbnails and, the opportunity finder and optimizing your videos for search, all of that stuff. It also has a bunch of channel management things as well. It has the ability to go in and see a list of your videos and see what your retention is at different points for those particular videos, all kinds of just additional things where you get a lot of insight around what's happening on your channel and what people are responding to and how you can better reach those people. So, it helps you in a lot of different ways. It's not just a growth tool, it's also a management tool as well.
Yeah, and Doc took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say before his chat came up, so you can build a house with hand tools or you can build a house with power tools. The choice is yours. Right. But you can build a house either way. But I'll say this also, when in terms of getting caught up with all the scores, right? Because all these, you have TubeBuddy and Morning Fame and vidIQ, you've got all these systems out there and they all give you these scores, and it's really easy to get caught up in the scores. Always remember, at the end of the day, you are making content for humans. You're making content for people. So sometimes you have to look at the scores and say, okay, this is what the score says, but I'm also making content for people, and a human is going to be attracted to this and they're going to click on this. So you kind of have to learn how to balance that out. And that's something that you'll pick up over time as you get more experience making content. And my Tish advisor, I just want to clarify there. She says, I love funk music. Me too. We should have a funk listening party. That would be fun. Won't you get a copyright strike? So what I've done is, yes, you would get a copyright claim more than likely if you actually played record label funk music. So what I did is I have a membership with Epidemic Sound, and I went there and I created a funk playlist based on their funk, and I curated it and picked the funk that I like, and then I have my own funk playlist from Epidemic Sound. So then I don't have problems with that. So that's how I've handled that. All right, moving on to the next question here.
Super chat.
Oh, we got another super chat. Let me pull them up. There it is. Truck and Tip says, does adding yourself as a person in your adding yourself as a person in your thumbnail give a boost on search or algorithm? Thanks, guys. I need to hydrate.
So while he's hydrating, I'll go ahead and take this one. So adding yourself to your thumbnails, that is something you need to test. And the reason that you need to test that is because on some channels, it works better than other channels. Some niches, it works better than other niches. So for example, like if you're talking about tech, in some cases, having the person in the thumbnail is the thing. In other cases, let's say you're talking about a phone, having the phone as the only thing that's in the thumbnail so that it grabs the attention and lets people know that that particular video is about that phone, as an example. that can often be the win. So it's really important that over time, as your channel is growing, that you just start testing these things. And the reason that you want to test them is because there are tons of myths and people talking absolutes when it comes to YouTube. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of best practice rules that you need to follow when it comes to YouTube that will help you, get the attention that you're after on the platform. However, there's also tons of information out there that's either dated or people just do a blanket application and say this applies to everything when in reality it doesn't. So because of that, just experiment and say, okay, these next few videos, I'm going to try adding myself to the thumbnail, and I'm going to see if people click on it more. Because the difference is, it's not that you get a boost in the algorithm or you get a boost in search because the system detects that there's a face. That has nothing to do with anything. How it actually works is the system responds to how people are interacting with what it is that you're doing. My friend Jesse in Bangkok here, he has one channel with 5 million subscribers. He has one or two more with 1 million. He's got several 100,000 channels. And one of the ways that he likes to frame the algorithm, and I think it's really smart, is he says the algorithm is a mirror. And it reflects how people respond to what it is that you're doing. If people are responding at a high rate, then the reflection, the result that you get out of it is your videos perform well on the platform. If people don't respond at a high rate, then the reflection that you get out of that is your videos don't perform well on the platform. And in some cases, it can be a thumbnail tweak, it can be a title tweak, something like that, to where you reframe what somebody expects when they come into your video, or that you just simply change how people will start responding to what it is that you're doing. And in some cases, that can be adding or removing your, you or a person from your thumbnail.
Yeah, there's actually been studies on this where they've compiled tons of data to figure out which thumbnails got the most clicks. And some basic practices that they found is generally faces get more clicks. Generally, more than one face gets more click. Like 2 faces usually gets more click than 1, 3 usually gets more click than 2. If you're closer to the screen, those tend to get more clicks. If your mouth is open, people always ask, why do YouTubers make those stupid YouTuber faces? Because generally they get clicked, right? There's data to back this up. However, these are best practices compiled generally over a lot of data that doesn't necessarily
and a lot of really big channels that can also distort that information. So
exactly.
For example, yeah, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but that, all of these findings, they're best practices, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work with your audience. So what Nick said, you have to test it with your audience. Like all of these, like the stupid YouTube face, it might work for one channel, but your audience might say, this is the dumbest thing ever, I'm not clicking on that. So you have to test all this stuff with your audience. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, some of that information can be distorted based on how popular a YouTube content creator is. So for example, Philip DeFranco, if his channel was part of that sample, then in that situation, if I see a Philip DeFranco thumbnail, then there's a really good chance I'm going to click on it just because it's his and I know it's going to be awesome. And it has nothing to do with anything else other than I just like his content. So because of that, him having his picture there, it matters. Whereas somebody else that I might be watching, if it's like a tech channel, for example, if they're focused on the tech, then in that situation, the tech might be the thing that grabs the attention. But, when you have those larger channels to where, okay, let's do it this way. If you have Philip DeFranco, who has, several million subscribers on his YouTube channel, he's a known person when it comes to YouTube. You have him who has this large built-in audience and he puts his face in his thumbnails. It's going to be, the effect is going to be, or the impact is going to be different than if you have Bob, and I'm just using that name randomly, but then if you have Bob who started his channel yesterday and he makes a thumbnail just like Philip DeFranco, the response is going to be, it's going to be a different thing because nobody knows who Bob is yet. So because of that, face might not be as valuable, so to speak, to getting the click compared to Philip DeFranco, who people are just going to click on it just because it's him. Right. So that's the idea.
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you, Miss Chris. You gave a super chat and says, no question here. I just wanted to say thank you to you both.
Super chat.
Snapseed, TubeBuddy extension, etc. With all the tools you guys suggested helped me so much. Thank you, Miss Chrissy. I do appreciate it. Glad to know that. Yeah, glad to know you're finding value in the things that we recommend. Sometimes we recommend stuff. We're like, I hope people understand how to use this stuff correctly, so they don't come back and say you ruined everything. All right. Next question is about YouTube Shorts, and this has been a hot topic for a couple of months now. This is from CJ, who says, I see a lot of short videos with the TikTok logo on it. Do you think YouTube will eventually take these videos down or demonetize them? I know they aren't already when they're in the player. So here's what we know about YouTube Shorts. Yes, a lot of people are just copying videos from TikTok. Some people are stealing videos from TikTok. They're re-uploading them to YouTube Shorts. We know this about Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels recently told people that they are going to not surface videos with other logos on them. So if you're uploading TikTok videos with the TikTok logo to Instagram Reels, they can now identify that and they're not going to surface those videos. So the chances of you getting discovered with that video is drastically going to be reduced on Instagram Reels because you have a logo. Now that tells us that the technology is there to do that. And I haven't heard anything from YouTube on this directly, but we do know that monetization is coming. That's a fact. They're going to monetize it. That means that the music that's being used, that people are bringing over from TikTok, that means you are going to have content ID claim issues with that. But we know the technology is there for the logo. I can't imagine YouTube would want, because there's just endless amounts of videos with TikTok logos on them and shorts. I can't imagine that they're going to be okay with that long term. It just doesn't make sense that they would. So I wouldn't be surprised if they implement something like Instagram Reels did. I haven't heard anything about that, but I wouldn't be surprised. So
yeah, I don't know either way. Yeah, like I have no idea in terms of if that's something that they're going to care about or not. But one thing, like if you're uploading TikTok videos and that's one of the things that you're doing, just take a minute. And I mean, it's a minute-long video, so even if you're on a bad computer, it's not going to take you long to render out. So it's basically a 1080 by 1920 video or somewhere around there that is going to be, a minute or two long. And with that, just take a few minutes and put together, hop on Fiverr, have somebody make you something like your own graphic overlay that you would be able to add somewhere to create like some type of awareness about your channel or, something like that. Smack that on there and then upload it to YouTube. And then in that situation, if they end up doing that in the future, you're covered and you don't even have to worry about it. So you're working around the problem now, you're catching it on the front end before it ever becomes an issue.
Yeah, and the safe bet with making content in general is to always future-proof your content. So if you know that they're going to monetize shorts, so then you can't use music on there that you don't have a license to or that YouTube doesn't approve of, right? So don't put that music up there now. If you see Instagram already making efforts to get rid of videos with TikTok logos in them, then I would say probability is fairly high that YouTube might follow on that one because the technology is there to do it. So I would just, like if shorts is part of your strategy, like, hey, I'm using shorts, I'm growing on shorts, I'm building a community with shorts and you're putting a lot into it, then I would future-proof your content to make sure that a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, you don't have issues with those shorts. It's worth the extra effort. Just like Nick said, have somebody put your logo on top of TikTok's. I mean, hopefully they don't have a problem with that.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. I mean, hey, if you have a problem with that, you didn't hear from us. I would, my advice would be don't put any logo on it at all. Just that's totally future-proofing everything. But if you can't, I think your channel logo is going to be better than a TikTok logo. Hold on here. Next question, Danny Hatcher. Can you grow a streaming only channel with the same things as a video channel? My main channel was being hurt by streams, so I made a second one. We covered this a little bit earlier on in the stream, and it comes down to this. If your live streams are in alignment with the content that you're making and you're putting together good live streams, then you're probably not going to get hurt when you're putting those live streams on there. But if your live streams are just slow and people aren't interested and you don't have much interaction and it's taking forever to get into the live stream and you're spending 20 minutes just welcoming people into the chat, like that might not be why people are there. So what I would do is I would go in, I'd look at your analytics, I would look at all of the data and say, why are people not interested in my live streams? Or maybe you're making different content. Maybe your video content, you're making video tutorials on how to do stuff. In your live streams or something completely different. Maybe you're doing, hey, I'm going to the store today, I'm going shopping, come along with me, here's my phone, we're going live streaming, IRL live streaming. They're just not interested in that. But if it's in alignment and your live streams they look good, they sound good, the information is there, and people are getting some sort of value out of it, it's in alignment with your content, I don't see why it would be hurting your channel. And yes, you can grow a channel. A lot of people can grow their channel. The key to growing a channel with live streams is replay value. Right? So you have the community building and the live stream interaction, but once the live stream is over, if it's not set up properly for a replay value, it's going to die off. So make sure your title is something that people can find through search. Make sure that you trim off the beginning of the video if you take too long to get into the meat and potatoes of what's going on in your video or in the live stream, right? Treat your live stream like you would a video. Video influencers, they do this probably better than anyone in terms of taking a live stream and converting it into an actual video. They trim off the beginning, they trim off the end, they change their title, they do everything. So when the video is over with, you come back a day later and it looks like a video. As soon as somebody clicks play on it, Benji starts with his hook. He tells them what's in the video, and then they get right into it. It's a clever way of doing it.
It is. Really quick, Dee, if you don't mind, Trucking Tips asked a question that a lot of people might be dealing with as well, just because trolls and spammers are rampant on YouTube right now.
Oh, yeah.
And the question is about how's the best way to handle trolls leaving short links in comments. So inside of your YouTube studio, which is basically the back end to your YouTube channel, you are going to see, I'm not sure if you're on a mobile device or if you're on a computer, but if you're on a computer, what you'll want to do is down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you're going to see a little gear icon. You want to click on that, and then a dialog box is going to pop up, and then you want to click on community. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom of that page, you're going to see an option to hide links and hashtags. You're also going to see something called a blocked words list. So in the blocked words list, I also put HTTP, HTTPS, www, that kind of stuff as well, so that if somebody leaves one of those links, it will get auto captured by YouTube, and they'll remove it from public view, and then it will move to a section called held for review in your comments inside of your YouTube studio.
Yeah, and I add all sorts of other things to that word list as well. So if you find that spammers are always going in, talking about, hey, my friend hacked this Instagram channel. Like I've got hacked, hacker, hacked. I have every profanity you can think of. I've got hate speech. I've got race. I've got everything you can.
Ballhorn, she sent me her list.
Yeah, huge.
Oh my God.
Send it over.
Yeah.
Pass it along.
1,000+ words in there. I mean,
that should be
ginormous. Yeah.
That should be something that we should all share, like a collective list.
I agree.
Actually, YouTube should build that into their platform. Actually, is what they should do. Right. So I think
they customize some of it. So it's like, for example, like obscenities and things like that. Absolutely. They should build that in. But I think they let us customize it for little details. Like if somebody called me 4 eyes, for example, and that bothered me, then in that situation, I could put 4 eyes down there, and then I would never have to worry about it. Where in somebody else, they might say something like, hey, you need 4 eyes in order to see that. And then they wouldn't care, per se. So.
Yeah, and that's something too. So, if you're self-conscious about your nose, or people are leaving mean comments, why is your nose so crooked, or why is your nose so flat, or whatever, you can put the word nose in there, and then you're not going to see it. Just never go into your held comment area, and you're not going to see that stuff. And what I've done for my comments, and I believe Nick's done the same thing, is I've made them family friendly and brand friendly. Yeah. I want to make sure that when somebody comes down to my comments, they're not offended. I want to make sure that it's a safe place for people. They feel like they're not going to get attacked. And that's just worked. I think I think the last YouTube report came in, said I get something like 15,000 YouTube comments a month on my channel. That's just for me, that's a phenomenal amount of comments. But I've cultivated that, and I've made it a safe place. So yeah, you can do that as well inside of YouTube Studio. And here's a question from Small Town Picker. Says, can others see them if you hide them? No. So nobody's going to know what your word list is. Yeah. And if you have an abusive commenter, you can, over on the right-hand side, there's 3 little dots. You can click on that, and you can hide the user from your channel. If they're hidden from their channel, they don't know that they're hidden. They can keep leaving comments on your channel. They can keep watching your videos, but they've disappeared for you and everybody else. And nobody's going to see them, and they don't know, and they've never been notified that they've been hidden. YouTube gives us those tools. Hey, Renee, how you doing, man? How are you both looking at the new returning versus viewers graph and analytics? Great question. I've learned that I need to work more on getting my viewers to come back and watch my content. I think it's a great analytic to give us a good indication of, how, it's exactly what it is, returning viewers versus new viewers. Like what's the balance there? I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, they showed us before. They showed us, like how many people, like over the course of the month, they just weren't giving us as much information on it. So now they've given us more information on it. For my type of content, I already know that there's churn with what it is that I do, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But I am using it to think like, okay, how can I try to get people coming back more? So having the exact like, hey, we've got a spike here of returning viewers and that sort of thing. one of the things that you can use that for is you can say, okay, with my content strategy, these types of videos on my channel typically bring regular viewers back. These types usually get me in front of more new viewers. So because of that, I need to make sure that I'm sprinkling in some of these, sprinkling in some of those, so that I can mix the perfect pie, so to speak, over the course of the month to make sure that I'm serving as many people as I possibly can.
I find it interesting because you see the graph. So like you upload a video, you can see that spike. Okay, I got a spike in new viewers and hopefully a spike in returning viewers, but sometimes it goes down. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't connect there for one audience. So yeah, if I can keep both of those spikes going up, I'm following the right track. If I see one of them go down, I'm like, okay, I missed something here. But yeah, I love it.
YouTube kind of loosely gives us, additional information as well, with all the different reports they're giving us nowadays as well, telling us like this video did good because you have more returning viewers coming back and they responded to it better. And, all the little cards that they give us, letting us know all the details about, why video did better than it normally does or did lesser than it normally does. Having all of that information, it's great because it helps us make better decisions with what it is that we're doing.
Thank you, Ms. Chrissy. Next question. This is a great question from Floyd Fernandez, who says, what's something about YouTube that's coming down the line that I need to start learning today so I'm ready for it tomorrow?
Nice.
That's a great question. And I know
if you're not captioning you're not adding chapters to your videos, I think that's going to be coming down the road. Let's see here. What else?
It's here. That's even showing up on a phone now.
Yeah. Where they're auto doing it.
Oh, the auto, yeah. So
no, where they're going to be auto chaptering, they're going to be auto chaptering stuff as well.
Oh, no. I thought you were talking about the manual chapters.
Yeah. So the manual chapters, those show up, right? But those aren't necessarily something that you need to do in terms of, like learning how to do it. It's literally just typing something out. So there's not much of a skill set involved there. But as a content creator, here's what you need to think about. On YouTube and any other platform, everything is based on response. So what you need to focus on is you need to focus all of your efforts on learning how to get people respond through video, through imagery, and through text, and possibly through audio, depending on, where that tends to go. But that, you can take some of what you learned from the video side and put it into that. But basically you need to learn how to get people to respond through written format. So because of that, read blogs and watch videos and things like that on copywriting. You also need to learn how to be able to keep people entertained and engaged in your content. And you need to be able to evolve as people evolve as well. So for example, now it's, like in a lot of types of content, it's important to be changing things up a lot because, attention spans are just getting worse and worse. And our ability to be able to keep somebody's attention is really important. And the more that you focus on okay, I'm going to be in my audience retention reports because YouTube gives us that information in terms of how people respond to what it is that we're doing. So I'm going to be in my audience retention reports for every video that I publish, trying to look for patterns on how people respond when I do certain things and when I don't do certain things. So for example, you'll find over time that if you are, let's say that you are on camera, then in that case, you'll find that if you're just sitting there talking and nothing changes for a period of time, and this is going to be different for everybody because we all communicate in different ways, but some people will be able to hold people while they're on camera for, 20, 30 seconds, maybe even a minute without anything even budging, where other people, based on how they communicate, they need to have, like me, for example, because I'm scattered, I'm a mess, I'm all over the place. So because of that, I got to have things changing all of the time and stuff like that. Because if I'm on screen for too long, then people start leaving. So knowing that, it helps me make better editing decisions, which then in that case helps people, watch my videos and enjoy my videos for longer periods of time, which then helps me perform better on the platform. But learning how to do those core things in terms of how to get people to respond through imagery, how to get people to respond through the video content, and how to get people to respond through text, because those are the skills that you got to develop in order to be able to thrive on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, and anywhere else that you're, Instagram, whatever, anywhere else that you're going to be uploading content. If people don't respond, all of the algorithms crush you. If they do respond, all the algorithms will lift you up.
You nailed that one. And I'm going to add one more thing to that. And this isn't YouTube specific. This applies to all the platforms. Moving forward, remember that every single one of us, we're on rented land. We don't own YouTube. We don't own Facebook. We don't own Twitch. We don't own Twitter. So if you're cultivating an audience, I think it's more important now than ever to make sure you're either building an email list or you're building something else. Maybe you've got your own website where you're building a community over there or a forum, because we've all seen this. People are accidentally getting their channels hacked. They're getting deleted with oopsies. Like this sort of thing happens, and it can happen when you least expect it. So in addition to everything that Nick just said, I would also move forward thinking about what you can do to cultivate as much of your community as possible off of the platforms as well. So if
easy way to do it, build an email list or try to get people to follow you everywhere. So like if you have one thing that's working, try to have that overflow into everything else, so that in the event that, you know, things go south, like Dee was talking about, that you have some types of backup in order to get things, you know, rolling again per se. And really quick, Doc Rock says, buy all the Ray Edwards books on copywriting. He's the master. Yeah, Ray Edwards. I know Ray. Ray is awesome. Yeah, definitely get his books on copywriting. Watch his YouTube channel. Great information on copywriting.
Yep. Yeah, you know, just prepare for, you know, the inevitable, like, because an accident could happen eventually. You know, it might not happen today or tomorrow. It can happen 10 years from now. You're right. You've built this huge channel, and YouTube's like, oops, or it gets hacked. And who was the channel that? And Nick, I know you were talking to him too. It was there was a channel who got hacked, and he was down for over a month. Recently.
Here, that's happened to the budgeteers here locally. That's happened to, they've got like 200 and something thousand subscribers on them. That happened to
somebody on Twitter.
The drummer channel, Josh Drums, I think it is. I can't remember the exact name, but it's something drumming. But basically it happened to him, and then he was able to recover. So he got his channel back, and he was able to.
It can take a while though.
Over 100,000 subscribers after the fact. I'm looking at my messages here because I've got him in here somewhere.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'm going to move on to the next question from Paul Burke. He says, question, gents.
Drum class. That's it.
Yeah. He says, Paul Burke says, thanks for all your help. What title suggestions should I use if I upload comedy and sketch videos which are not specific topic focused?
What was the question?
He's doing comedy and sketches. He's wondering what type of titles he should use.
Make your comedy and sketches about things that are either interesting at scale in terms of general audience, or make them about things that are popular or trending. So a great example for this, for like sketches and comedy, check out Ryan George. Nails it. And he's actually one of my favorite content creators right now. And if you watch what he puts out, it's about stuff that when you see his thumbnails, you can't help but click on them, or when you see the topics, you can't help but click on them. It's things like, you know, the first person to ever rent out a hotel room, the first person to do X, the first person to do that. Like basically everything that he puts out, not everything, but most things that he puts out, their general audience, to where as a human being, you can relate to his content. And it's really short, it's concise, and he's hilarious. That's a part of the gig. Is, you know, as a comedian, you know, your job, you know, if you're on stage, for example, is to, you know, grab the crowd's attention, take them through, you know, your set and all of that. YouTube, it's the same. So just think, how can I put together content in a way to where I'm, you know, grabbing their attention and then I'm holding their attention? The way that Ryan does his is basically he plays both parts or multiple parts in his particular skits. He uses a green screen or just the natural room environment that he's in. And then the camera just switches back and forth for a conversation between him and himself. Epic content. Use him just as an example. But one thing that I personally would do if I was making comedy content is I would go after trends. Because with trends, you are tapping into the interest sets of a lot of people. So for example, you know, if there's a new movie coming out, making parodies about that movie, or making sketches about, you know, funny things that would happen in that movie. So for example, like Dee, help me out here. What could a sketch be about WandaVision?
Well, not WandaVision, that's gone. So now we've got the new, you know, the new DC movie, the Zack Snyder cut, right? Like that's hot right now. Like you know, like you should have made a video about that like 2 weeks ago. Right. Yeah. And right now,
what I mean is, like, what could you do with that kind of thing? So like, for example, like if it was WandaVision, because I don't know much about the Justice League stuff because I haven't watched it yet. But like on the WandaVision side, like if you made something like, you know, like if Wanda, I don't know, like if her superpower was
I'm not a comedy guy. Yeah. You can put
like, you know, WandaVision, like if her superpower was like this instead of, you know, the other things that she does, or, you know, something along those lines. But basically you would make it about her so that the people that are interested in that, they would be more inclined to click on what it is that you're doing. That's the idea.
All right, next question. I'm going to power through some of these quickly here to get as many in as we can before we wrap this up. So Love Revival TV says, how about doing a bilingual channel, which the playlist is in different languages? No, you don't want to do that. Pick a single language for your channel, right? Reason being is you're going to segment your audience. If I subscribe to your channel, let's say you're speaking in Spanish and I love your Spanish content, then you upload another piece of content in German or English, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that, right? Don't upload content your audience is not there for, right? If they didn't subscribe for that, don't give it to them. Don't segment your audience. Pick one language per channel. If you do different languages, each language would be its own channel. Next question would be, what's your opinion, from Jay Nacho, what's your opinion on YouTube gaming, streaming versus Twitch? My answer to that would be YouTube, because there's practically zero discoverability on Twitch. I mean, and don't get me wrong, gaming is hard on YouTube as well, but it's even harder on Twitch because there's no discoverability on Twitch. I would say try to build an audience on YouTube first, and if you want to stream on Twitch, then maybe you can bring some of those people over. YouTube does have better discoverability features.
Yeah, and you can get creative with what it is that you're doing too. So like on Twitch, you have to where you can basically do your live streams and you have to pretty much dedicate your life to live streaming over there. Where YouTube, you can have your live streams that you do. You can put together some video content, some short form stuff that you can use as doorways into your channel. All kinds of, creative things that you can do to bring attention to yourself on YouTube, where it's a little bit more difficult on Twitch because you got to dedicate so much time just to get any attention whatsoever over there. So.
Right. Next question comes from Wrestling on Weed. Can you guys answer audio questions about the Zoom H8? I don't have the Zoom H8, so I'm not able to answer questions on that. Nick, do you have the Zoom H8?
I don't either. Nope.
Okay. Yep. So apologies. I can't answer questions on the Zoom H8, but I do have, I believe, the H4 and the H5, and those are fantastic. So I can only imagine the H8 is even more amazing. But I don't have it. Next question.
I think the 8 now has like has multiple ports coming into it.
Yes.
It's supposed to be kind of like a mobile version of a Roadcaster.
Yes. It looks great. I just don't have it. I haven't even seen it in person yet. I've just seen pictures of it. Next question is from I'm a Tall Boy. It says, can you explain what we're doing wrong? We set up a live stream through YouTube. When we then go live with Restream via vMix, it creates a separate stream and the original is still waiting to go live. Create the stream with Restream, because what's happening is you're creating two different live streams. You're creating a live stream with YouTube, and then you're creating a second live stream through Restream. You should be able to create that live stream with Restream, and I'm not real familiar with Restream. Somebody in the chat can probably help with this. But if you can't connect, so okay, here's what happens. If you go to create a live stream and you've already created one on YouTube, some streaming platforms will give you the option to connect to that live stream. But if that's not an option, then you're creating a second stream. So try not to create that first stream through YouTube directly, and see if you can create it straight out of Restream. Nick, do you have any?
And as a quick side note, like you should just go ahead and just move over to StreamYard also instead of Restream.
Next question here from Alaya. On another channel, I upload copyright content and some original content. Somehow the copyright content gets more views. What do you recommend? Which one should I upload? So if you're uploading content that you're getting copyright claims on and stuff that you don't have a license to or permission to use, you're playing with fire. You're not going to be able to monetize. I mean, it depends what your strategy is. If you're like, hey, I'm not going to monetize through ads, I'm just trying to drive people to my business offline, or I'm trying to sell a product, and you're getting content ID claims, as long as they're claims and not strikes, do what you need to do. But if you're getting copyright strikes, if you get 3 within 90 days, you're going to lose your channel. So I think you're playing with fire with this kind of content strategy, because those claims could just as easily be strikes. And 3 in a row come in within 90 days, your channel's gone. Your channel's they delete everything. There's no second chances. Your channel's gone. Poof.
Yep, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it. Make original content, or you're risking everything.
Yeah. Fast growth is, I know it's tempting, but it's not worth it, because even though you're getting away with it today, that doesn't mean 6 months from now or a year from now or 3 years from now, when you've built a million subscriber plus channel, like it could all come crumbling down with 3 strikes.
Yeah, and a real
really
case
fast.
story of what Dee's talking about there. I had a video. It was like within the first 5 videos that I uploaded to my YouTube channel, showing people how to download a thumbnail. And in that particular video, I even said thumbnails are protected. They're copyright protected, blah, blah, because they're original works of art, blah, blah. And but I told people, I framed the whole thing about going into your own stats. This is before YouTube had the download thumbnail feature, about going into your own basically video watch page, going into the code and getting it that way. And that video didn't come back to haunt me until like 2 years ago. So because of that, you know, I had 4 years worth of content until that particular video showed up to haunt me. And that one ended up getting taken down. I got it all resolved. However, I still had to freak out about it and go through the process of like, oh, great. You know, I got a community guideline strikes on the channel and all that stuff. So it's just not worth it. So avoid copyright protected material as much as you possibly can.
Yes. Next question. Thanks for the super chat. Trucking tips says, on Restream, does that hurt anything on YouTube as far as getting searched on languages? What about translating titles and captions? So, okay, let's talk about languages really quick. So if you speaking in English, but you have your captions, right, translated to other languages, that's fine. What we're talking about is if you're, you know, you don't want to record a spoken video in English and then another one in Spanish and another one in German, or just even 2 languages. You want to just pick one and run with that. But if you're doing captions, that's fine. In regards of, does Restream hurt anything with YouTube? No. So if you're creating a stream inside of Restream, you should be able to create your title.
You're scheduling it. That's all you're doing. You're using a third-party software to schedule the stream. That's all you're doing. So it doesn't technically impact anything.
Right. And then once your stream is actually over, you can go into YouTube Studio, or you can go into the YT Studio app on your phone, and you can change the title, you can change the description, you can change your thumbnail. So you can go live with one set of metadata and one thumbnail, and then for repurposing it for replay value, you can change the title, change the thumbnail, change your description, whatever you want to do for that. Hey, Beanie, how you doing?
What's up, Beanie Draws?
Next question from John Pullum. He said, hey, John, how you doing? It says, what email service are you both using for your email list? So I'm getting ready to move over to ConvertKit, but I started mine with MailChimp just to get it up and running. Nick?
Aweber and ActiveCampaign.
Okay, there you go. And on that note, we couldn't get to everyone's comments today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Thank you for the amazing questions. Thank you for the super chats. I will be coming back in the comments here. So if we did not get to your question, come back and ask your question as a comment, and I will be coming back periodically, and I will be answering your comments there, because I want to make sure that I get through everybody's questions. We just couldn't get to all of them today. Luria said if we're not out of here at 12, she's going to burn me again. So I want to make sure that we're logging out and getting off the channel. Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you for the share. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up if you enjoyed yourself, if you had a good time, if you learned something today, or if you just want to support Luria's channel, go ahead and smash the thumbs up. Thank you guys so much. And Nick, thank you so much for joining last minute. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, and come back and ask your questions as comments, and I will be coming back and I'll answer your questions there in written form. Moderators, thank you so much for holding it down. And we'll see you guys on our channels. And by the way, follow Nick on his channel. You can find him, Nick Nimmin. My name is Dee Nimmin. If you guys are using StreamYard and you want overlay templates, head down to the description. I've got a link to streamertemplates.com, which is my site where you can get premium overlay templates. And I have a 20% discount code for people who are watching this stream today and for people watching on the replay. And thank you, Luria. Cheers.